If your favorite game is an esport title like Fortnite, Valorant, CS2, or just any of these games, and you want to buy a new gaming PC build that will deliver excellent performance in these type of games, achieving high FPS without any FPS drops, without any stutters or bottlenecks, this is going to be the perfect video for you. I'll show you 3 different gaming PC builds specifically designed for esports games, and I'll show you the level of performance that you can expect when buying one of these systems in case you want to buy one of these PCs, which by the way, the links will be down below in the video description. My name is Valentino. With that being said, let's start. With the first system, we have the cheapest one on the list, and I call this one the budget esports titles gaming system. With this PC, you can achieve well over 240 plus FPS on average in those type of games, and in just a moment, I will tell you what you can expect in high demanding games in case you want to also play games like Cyberpunk 2077, Hogwarts Legacy, and games of that nature. But anyway, the reason why this system is so great when it comes to price to performance is because you get the i5-12400F, which is one of the best budget / mid-range CPUs in the entire market, and you combine this CPU with one of the best value GPUs in the market in the RX 6750 XT. On top of that, you get 32 gigs of DDR4 memory, which is going to be ideal if you want to also do streaming. On top of that, you get an aftermarket CPU cooler, which is going to be amazing for this i5-12400F. It's going to look much better, and the CPU temps are going to be lower. Then for the motherboard, you get all the features that you need for gaming. You get a 1TB SSD, which is going to be enough for most people. And you can always upgrade down the line if you need more storage in case you want to install more games. Then in terms of the case, you get the Montec Air 100 ARGB. I love this case. I have it myself. It comes with 4 pre-installed RGB fans. It looks beautiful, great aesthetics, and the most important part is that the airflow is going to be top tier at this price point. And last but not least, you get an MSI 650 watt power supply, which is going to be the perfect power supply on a budget, and the total price for this system is $750. And remember, you can achieve 240 plus FPS on average in esports games. So if you want a 240Hz 1080p monitor, you do not need to spend anything more than this. And in terms of high demanding titles, you can expect well over 100 FPS on average, 1080p high to ultra settings. If you want to play at 1440p, you can also do that because the RX 6750 XT from AMD is very capable of 1440p resolution and has 12 gigs of VRAM, which is ideal for 1440p high demanding titles. Now, if you want to play at 1440p in esports games, you can expect 165 plus FPS on average. So you can buy 144 or 165Hz 1440p monitor. Now, if you have a bit of extra money, you can actually buy DDR5 memory instead of DDR4, which is going to be faster and is also more future-proof. So for just $50 more, you are getting 32 gigs of DDR5 memory, and of course a different motherboard that will support DDR5. Don't worry, because you will have those alternative DDR5 options down in the description as well. That way you don't get lost. And then if your favorite games work better with Nvidia, or you just want an Nvidia graphics card instead, I recommend you getting the RTX 4060, which is going to be about the same price as the RX 6750 XT. Just keep in mind that the 6750 XT is quite faster on average, but I have tested the 4060 myself with an i5 processor, and I was able to achieve well over 300 FPS on average when it comes to esports shooters. And then if you want to play high demanding ones, you can expect 90 plus FPS, but it's not as fast as the 6750 XT. And it comes with less VRAM, which is not going to be ideal if you want to play high demanding titles on high to ultra settings, especially at 1440p resolution. Moving up in price, we have the best value esports gaming PC, because this one is definitely not the most expensive one, but it's also not the cheapest, and will achieve very high FPS in both high demanding games and esports shooters. Now, this one has the Ryzen 5 7600X. It's one of the best price to performance CPUs out there in the market for gaming, and you can pair this CPU with most graphics cards in the market. So even though this exact PC does not have the most expensive graphics card out there, you can easily fit an RTX 4080 Super or RX 7900 XTX inside of this system, because the Ryzen 5 7600X will not bottleneck those two GPUs. With this system, you can expect 240 plus FPS on average in esports titles at 1440p resolution, and over 360 plus FPS when it comes to 1080p. So if you want a 360Hz 1080p monitor for esports shooters or a 240Hz 1440p one, this system is ideal for you. And then for the graphics card, which is one of the most important components when it comes to gaming, you get the RX 7800 XT, which is ideal for 1440p high to ultra settings, and you will be achieving very high FPS at 1080p because in high demanding titles, with the 7800 XT at 1440p high to ultra settings, you can expect around 100 FPS on average. And then if you drop down the resolution to 1080p in high demanding games, high to ultra settings once again, you can expect well over 130 FPS, which is a very high number considering that we are talking about high demanding titles. Now here you get 32 gigs of RAM once again of DDR5 memory. You also get a 1TB SSD, but here you get the Fractal Design Pop Mini Air 40 case, which is a better quality case. And last but not least, we have an A-tier rated power supply in the NZXT C750. This is a 750 watt power supply. Now the total price for this system is $1,135, and if you must have Nvidia, then I recommend you getting the RTX 4070, and in that case the total price will be $1,185. In my personal opinion, the 7800 XT is better when it comes to price to performance because it's cheaper and will achieve slightly faster rasterized performance, and on top of that it has more VRAM. But again, if your favorite titles work better with Nvidia or just any programs that you use, the 4070 is going to be your best option. And with the best system for esports games, this one can achieve 540 plus FPS on average, both at 1080p and 1440p resolution. So you can buy the highest refresh rate monitor out there if you wanted to, because you get the fastest CPU in the entire market in the Ryzen 9 7900X 3D. So once again, the highest FPS out there and high demanding CPU titles out there as well. And then in terms of high demanding games like Cyberpunk 2077 and the games that I've mentioned before, here you get the RX 7900 XT. So you can achieve very high FPS at 1440p resolution high to ultra settings. In fact, over 120 FPS in those type of games. And then you can also play at 4K if you want and achieve 75 plus FPS. So there's not going to be an issue if you want to play either at 4K, 1440p or 1080p. And then if you must have Nvidia, I recommend you getting the RTX 4070 Ti Super, which is more expensive than the 7900 XT, but is overall better because you get DLSS, which is the better upscaler, especially if you play high demanding games at 4K. You also get a better level of ray tracing performance. And then the 4070 Ti Super is usually better when it comes to content creation and productivity work in case you are a content creator. Now, if you don't care about any of this, you just want to play esports shooters, then sure, the 7900 XT is much better because the price is lower and the level of performance is basically the same. For the rest of the components, you get an upgraded motherboard, you get 32 gigs of DDR5 memory once again, which is going to be perfect for both high demanding titles, esports games, streaming and content creation. Then you get a bigger aftermarket CPU cooler, then you get an A-tier rated 850 watt power supply, and then in terms of the case, you get the Montech Sky 2 GX, in my opinion one of the best looking cases. Comes with 3 pre-installed fans in the front. Now the total price for this system is going to be $1,665 if you go with the 7900 XT, and if you decide to go with the RTX 4070 Ti Super instead because you prefer Nvidia, then you are looking to spend $1,775. So definitely not cheap, but if you want the best of the best for both esports games and high demanding ones, I think these systems are going to be the best ones for you. But again, if you want the best price to performance for esports shooters, you have the best value system as well, or the budget one if you have under $1,000 to spend. On top of that, if you have more money than $1,800, then I do recommend you watching my video on the best gaming PC builds for every resolution, 1080p, 1440p and 4K, and for every budget. So there you will find systems that are actually more expensive than $1,800. You will have that video in the top right of the screen. And remember that the pricing for each system might be different, so I highly recommend you checking the latest pricing and availability from the links down below. Thank you guys for watching, thank you for the support, and I will see you on the next one.